Hey guys, this is Hybrid, and today we're doing character bios for The Flash. Now, due to how I know this will be uploaded later, but recently there was a bombing at the Boston Marathon. Now, I feel since The Flash is a running superhero, speed's his thing, running long distance, he and Superman do charities all the time, like marathon charities, things like that. I feel just take a moment to kind of show some respect to the people that lost their lives in the Boston Marathon and got injured. So, just a moment of silence. Okay, everybody, so this is character bios for the Flash. Now, New 52 Flash, which is Barry Allen, since Wally West is nowhere at all in the New 52, which I personally don't like that. I'm like, why do they have Bart Allen in there but not Wally West? That's kind of stupid, but that's just me opinion-wise because I grew up with Wally West, so yeah. But anyways, the Flash, let's get to his information. Real name, Bartholomew Henry Allen. Fun fact, Bart Allen is actually a junior, I believe. He's Bartholomew Henry Allen II. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty certain on that. Anyways, his powers are superhuman speed, healing, stamina, phasing, chemistry, detective skills, forensics, vortex generation, and perception. Now, I just put the chemistry, detective skills, and forensics on there because they're not powers, but a lot of people tend to forget the Flash isn't stupid. He's actually pretty smart, and a lot of times Batman and the Flash will work together on a case to find the villain, something like that, using his forensic skills plus Batman's forensic skills, etc. So, yes, Barry Allen works for the police. We'll get to that in the origin part of this, and also for the powers part of this, we'll get into more of that later as well, like where he gets his powers from. Now, his equipment's actually pretty interesting. It's the Flash costume, which is totally different from what it was in the old 52. I think that's what it's called now. But, yeah, so I'm going to have fun explaining the new costume. Now, his weaknesses are powerful opponents and forces. It's kind of the generic weakness. And also disruption to his connection of this, towards the Speed Force, which is where he gets his powers from. And I'll get into more of that, obviously, later when we get to that portion. When Barry Allen was younger, he lived with his mother and father, mom and dad. This changed, though, when his dad was charged with the murder of his mother. Now, his dad denied this, and because of that, Barry denied believing it for the rest of his life. Once his dad was put in prison, though, Barry obviously had to live with someone, and he ended up living with his mom's friend, Daryl Fry. Daryl is a lieutenant in the police at this time, and ends up becoming a captain later on, he's like kind of Commissioner Gordon in a way. But anyways, he becomes a father figure to Barry and raises him from his youth to adulthood. Now, youth, I think Barry was around 10 years old, kind of, when this whole thing happened. So basically, from around that time to Barry being an adult, he was raised by Daryl. In a way, Daryl was more of a father, time-wise, than Barry's actually dad was, or actual dad. Moving on, though, Barry is still believing his dad to be innocent, dedicated his life to validating his dad's claim of innocence. This is why Barry became a forensic scientist, so he could use those skills to prove his dad didn't kill his mother. This eventually drove him to becoming a forensic scientist with the Central City Police, and that is his motivation for being a part of the police force. Pretty straightforward, actually, but there's still more to come. While working with some chemicals late in a lab, he was hit by a lightning bolt, so the chemicals fell on him, this resulted in major chemical burns, and Barry was put into the hospital for a while. During this time, his powers started developing. I just want to say I love this panel, first off. I think it's really cool. And yeah, that's like the main thing, is basically chemicals plus lightning equals super speed. Now, one thing I find interesting they did in this, but they didn't do in the old one, which is the whole chemical burn thing. Now, obviously the chemicals soaked his body, but in the old comics, it was kind of instant. Like, he didn't get, hurt by it at all. He just kind of, while he was leaving the lab, he realized, oh, I have super speed now. But in this one, it actually takes a while. That stuff due to, like, this is really recent, that this fad of, the heroes, something happens to them and slowly they develop their powers, or overnight it happens, not just instantaneous. I'd like to say that started in the early 2000s, because the first comic I really showed that, to me, really showed that was Ultimate Spider-Man, which was, Peter Parker didn't get his powers immediately, kind of slowly came up. And also we saw that with the Spider-Man movie as well. Going off course, but back to the origins. Now, Barry's burns obviously healed very fast, and in the comic, they actually say that the doctors, these are the fastest ever they've ever seen, like, someone heal from this type of burn, because it was pretty major. Like, his whole body was burned, and he was in the hospital for a while. People thought like he was in a coma pretty much. But when he got out, he realized he now possessed superhuman abilities, notably speed, and in the process accidentally went to East Africa when he was leaving the hospital, which is what you see here in the panel next to this. You see him with like a beard and a mustache and, super speed. Now, once he returned back to Central City, he started studying his new abilities, and also after much testing, he created a costume that wouldn't tear, while also utilizing his connection to the Speed Force. I'll get into more of what I mean by utilizing his connection to the Speed Force later, but all you need to know is he didn't just go 1, 2, 3 costume, 1, 2, 3, I know how to use my powers. It actually took him a while, and him being a scientist, he probably did a lot of trial and error. I wish they did go into more of like what he did with it, but in the comics they don't, or at least so far they haven't really gone into detail how he tested, but we do know he did, mess around to see what he could actually do. Now, with a working costume and practice with his powers, and also a will to help the Central City citizens, Barry Allen became the Flash, the fastest man alive. So, there you go, see in that panel, I really do like how in New 52, and a lot of it's due to how his new costume is, and also his powers, they really make it based off electricity. Like when he was in a coma, when he was first manifesting his powers, they said, like, I have all this like electricity surging through me. They're really connecting with the whole electricity thing. I found that really interesting, and aesthetically though, it looks amazing with all like the lightning coming out and things like that. So now let's go to his powers, because here's a bit to talk about. Now his powers come from something called the Speed Force, which is an interdimensional thing connected to the motion of things in the universe, pretty much. And that gives him superhuman speed, healing, stamina, phasing, vortex generation, and perception. Now, I'm going to skip the chemistry, detective skills, and forensics, because those aren't really powers, but like I said, I have them there to remind you he is not stupid and just fast. He is actually pretty smart. Now, on the left, I have the whole perception, which is basically the same way that Barry Allen's body can utilize speed and go really fast, his brain can too. And that allows him to think of various results to various scenarios, and it's very handy, but it's not definite, and that's one issue he ran into in the early Flash issues, is that he came to rely on his brain like super speeding so much that he thought the outcomes it came up with were definite, when a lot of times they weren't, and that kind of screwed him over later. And obviously the middle one's his super speed, him running on water, no surprise there, and also, as you can see, the lightning again. Like I said, aesthetically, it looks amazing. And then we have on the right, vortexes. Now, those aren't really a power, like, he's not Red Tornado, but he can spin his arms fast enough, and probably his legs too, arguably, which allow him to make vortexes. And they are fast enough, or I guess he can spin his arms fast enough where the vortexes can, push something back like a boat, pretty much, like a big cruise boat. Now, his phasing, he's able to vibrate his molecules at a certain frequency and a certain speed that he can go through solid objects. Stamina, that kind of goes to the super speed. He can just run really, really long. Pretty much, he doesn't really get tired, essentially. And healing, he can heal very, very fast. Those major burns he was in that should have probably taken months, probably took him like a month tops, or 2 weeks tops to heal. He's gone through a lot so far too. Like, he got shot by a bullet and he healed that in within that issue pretty much. All in all, his powers are pretty handy. Like, if you could have his powers, you'd probably want his. Perception though also goes into him. He can see things very, very slowly. Now, the best way to put this is if you watched Smallville, It's kind of like that, but for him, obviously, everything's going much, much slower. Potentially, everything's probably frozen for him. His equipment. As you can see, his Flash costume comes on him from a ring, and it's made of various metallic plates, which are attracted to the Flash via the Speed Force energy. When he starts running, he has all that electricity, the Speed Force aura, I guess you could call it, around him. And that, when the rings come out, or not the rings, when the metal plates come out of the ring, they attract to his body. And that's why his costume has those outlines there, because that's the Speed Force energy they are attracting the plates. I hope I explained it well. For some reason, it's harder to explain than it should be. Basically, all you need to know is metal plates attract to his body because his body is like electromagnet, pretty much. Like the electricity attracts the metal. There you go. Same reason why when he punched Gorilla Grodd one time, and Gorilla Grodd was kind of powered up by Speed Force energy, his suit came apart because it kind of canceled it out, so to speak. Now, his weaknesses include powerful opponents, forces, and disruption to his connection to the Speed Force. Now, you see in the middle, Gorilla Grodd high off of Speed Force energy. That's just crazy, honestly. I don't know why they decided to do that in the first place, but they did. And on the left, you have the New 52 Captain Cold, who's awesome. And as you can see, the aura on the Flash's costume is not yellow, but blue, because the New 52 Captain Cold can negate the Flash's powers. The same way the Flash can speed up stuff, Captain Cold can slow down stuff, pretty much. And on the right, you see the rogues. You have Heatwave, Glider, Captain Cold, and there's more like Mirror Master, things like that. So, all in all, pretty cool. Reverse Flash is coming too, so I'm interested to see how they're going to work that in. And that is it, guys, for character bios of Flash. I hope you guys liked it. And please subscribe, comment, and like. And I guess I'll see you guys later with the next Comic Book Versus HD remake and also the next character bios.